So I'm here to save you a lot of trouble and possibly tears by telling you these tips that aren't super common to come across. I repeat, they do not exist in Europe. I don't know why it's so hard to find information on this. Hey guys, it's Caitlin, and today I just wanted to sit here and do a little chit chat with you and tell you a few tips about studying abroad that I wish I knew. These are tips that I haven't even seen in other videos because, trust me, before I studied abroad, I watched literally every video you could on YouTube. And these are tips that I kind of made up myself, which would have saved me so many tears if I knew. So I'm here to save you a lot of trouble and possibly tears by telling you these tips that aren't super common to come across on blog posts and or other YouTube videos. But yeah, so I'm just gonna be chilling here in my car. I have a venti matcha latte from Starbucks, which I just picked up right across the street. And yeah, let's just be a little casual. Cash chit chat cash chit chat sesh. Cash chit chat sesh. There we go. Okay. This tip I feel like might be extremely obvious, but it's clearly not, because there are a lot of people in my study abroad trip that were just genuinely not prepared for this. Research the country that you're going to and research their culture. It's just super important to research the country's culture, as in how people behave, what people eat, what's acceptable to do in public, what's not acceptable to do in public. Take notes about that so that you know how to behave when you are abroad. Like, I'm not necessarily telling you to conform, like I'm not trying to take your personality away from yourself. Cultures are sensitive to certain things. If you're going out and like creating a huge ruckus in a culture that is much more conservative, like it's just not respectful to the people of that country. Not only is this making you a more respectful, more culturally sensitive person when you're abroad, but it can also make or break your own study abroad experience. Me personally, when I studied abroad, I was in Paris, and if anyone knows anything about the French culture, or Parisian culture more specifically, is that they're much more conservative people in public. You just really have to keep an open mind when it comes to other people's cultures, because it can honestly like ruin your trip. A lot of people on my study abroad program hated Paris the first day they were there just because like someone looked at them weird on the street, and I don't want that to happen to you on your study abroad. Like, I don't want your study abroad ruined just because you're not prepared for the culture that you're about to face, you know? Okay, my second biggest tip, this pissed me off when I went to France. Do research on credit card companies. Like, look at the cards that you have and do research on those cards and see where you are able to use them. I have a Discover credit card, and I was just prepared to use my Discover credit card throughout like my travels abroad. Not until the moment I was trying to buy my metro ticket in France did I realize that Discover did not exist in Europe. Discover cards do not exist in Europe. I repeat, they do not exist in Europe. So take your Visa, take your, I don't even know what other kind of cards there are. So the reason that I was so pressed about this, I didn't really explain very well in the video, but I actually called Discover telling them that I was going to go abroad to Europe. And the person that I was on the phone with was like, yeah, you're all set. Like, they were acting like they existed in other countries, and Discover does not exist in other countries. End of story. Research about what kind of currency you should be using, what kind of cards are accepted in that country. Also, you have to notify your bank that you are going abroad, because a lot of banks find it suspicious when your card is being used a lot in a different country. How would they have known that you're going on vacation or that you're going abroad? Like, you just have to tell them so that they know that no one just stole your card and is doing sketchy stuff with it in a different country. Like, if you don't call your bank, they might close your card because of suspicious activity happening, so that's important. Another very similar thing that a lot of people gloss over are phones. You can't just take your phone abroad and expect it to work magically. Like, your phone only works in the US, and that's how most US phone plans are. So you either have to call your phone company and create a international phone plan with them, which is extremely overpriced and stupid. I do not recommend going that route. What I recommend is getting a SIM card that works in the country that you're traveling to. For example, I used Free Mobile when I was in Paris, price. It was only $2.99 a month. $2.99 a month for unlimited data, and I was only there for 3 months. So I was paying what, like $9 in comparison to like $300 with AT&T's international phone plan. Like, it's a no-brainer. To prepare your phone for an international SIM card, however, you do have to call them and ask them to unlock your phone. I forgot to mention while I was recording this, it is important to call your phone company before you go abroad and ask them to unlock your phone, because I waited until I was in France to ask my phone company to unlock my phone, and it took them over 48 hours to do so. So I went 2 whole days without any phone service at all, and that was terrible. So yeah, just make sure you unlock your phone before actually going to the country you're studying in. So I went for the route of unlocking the phone that I currently owned. However, a lot of my friends decided to go the route of bringing an old version of their phone abroad with them. And like, what I mean by that, say they upgraded to an iPhone 10, but they kept the iPhone 8. Like, they didn't trade it in, they just kept it. They took that iPhone 8 with them to France. Since it no longer had their SIM card in it, they could put the French SIM card in it and just use that as their like abroad phone. That was a lot. If you have any questions about that, please comment them down below, because even I was so confused when it came to like being able to use my phone abroad and being able to like have cellular data while abroad. I don't know why it's so hard to find information on this. I don't want you to go through what I went through, because the moment I landed in France, I thought my AT&T plan was going to be like, you know, working. But it wasn't working, and I couldn't get it to work, and I couldn't call anyone for help because my phone was not working. So I was literally sitting in the airport bawling my eyes out because I had no way to contact anyone, and I was just in a foreign country. So I am saving you from that. Please take this information and run with it. This next tip is kind of a decision that you have to make before studying abroad. If you're thinking of doing a homestay, you really need to debate whether or not that's the right choice for you. I always thought that being in a homestay was the right choice for me. I did have some like doubts about it, and if you have those doubts about it, honestly, like don't do it. Only do a homestay if you are 100% sure you want to do a homestay. Yeah, I learned a lot of French. Like, I was able to better my French so much, but I don't know if it was worth it for being kind of like, I don't want to say imprisoned, that is so bad. I just felt like a lot of my freedom was taken away because of the homestay. This tip kind of comes in when you are packing. So when you are packing, make sure you pack a substantial carry-on. I know it is such a pain to be dragging a carry-on suitcase around with you when you're traveling, but if you have the option to, bring that mini suitcase with you as a carry-on and pretend you're packing for a weekend trip. Bring like mini toiletries, a change of clothes, or maybe 2 pairs of clothes that you could change into. Bring your medicine, bring your chargers. The reason I am telling you this is if for any reason your suitcase or your luggage gets lost from you traveling from your home country to the other country you're going to, you will be stuck with no clothes, no toiletries, no nothing in a different country. I know what you're thinking, because I thought the same way. There's no way that's gonna happen to me. There's no way my luggage is gonna get lost. There's no way my flight's gonna get canceled. Well, guess what? It happened to me, so there is the same possibility that it's gonna happen to you. And if it happens to you, you will thank me. I, for example, thankfully was able to pack my carry-ons, and I packed my medicines, and I packed all of the technology that I needed to successfully start class, but I had no clothes at all in my carry-on. So I had to wear my host mom's clothes for over a week before my luggage was sent back to me. And let me tell you, my host mom, she was like 4 pant sizes smaller than I was. So the only options for pants that I had to wear for a week, they were like linen summer flowy pants, and it was the middle of February. This tip is to buy toiletries while you're abroad. Like, do not pack shampoo, do not pack conditioner. Like, if you're going abroad for over a month, Like obviously you're going to need full-size shampoo and conditioner bottles, and it's just a pain to pack them. Obviously if there are like US specific products that you use, like serums or oils or exfoliators, you can pack those. It'll just save a lot more room to buy your shampoo and like bigger toiletries abroad. Honestly, it's super duper fun to go like toiletry shopping abroad too, because they have products that you like don't see in the US. And I don't mean to brag, but I got some super cool toothpaste when I was in France, so I don't know, maybe that's just a me thing. The last 5 tips I have are kind of like tips to take into consideration once you're actually abroad. The first thing is currency. So we're kind of going back to money. When you're abroad, obviously currency's value changes. Like the US dollar is worth less than the euro. So you kind of have to know these currency exchange rates so that first of all, you're not getting scammed when you're exchanging money at a currency like exchange shop. And second of all, if you ever need to Venmo someone money, so if someone paid for you in say euros, but you need to Venmo them in dollars, you need to know how to do that exchange rate in your head. And one way that you could do that is by downloading this app called XE Currency, which is so helpful. Like this literally saved me, it saved my Venmo, it saved my bank account. This is kind of what the app looks like. So say for example, your friend buys you a €1 croissant. So you could type in €1 and then at the top, it'll show you how much it's worth in dollars. So that means you can Venmo them $1.21. So another way that this is helpful, like I mentioned, is not getting scammed. It was like if you brought cash from home and you wanted to convert that into the currency that you're using in the country you're studying abroad in, you can use this and plug in how much money you want to convert and see how much you should be getting. Now, you won't be getting exactly the amount that it's worth because the stores that you go into to convert money, they have to make a profit somehow, so they will be taking a percentage of what you are giving them. However, you just want to make sure that you're not getting scammed. Like if you're exchanging $100, they shouldn't be taking away more than like 10% of that. So you should be getting at least $90 worth of euros, if that makes sense. It should make sense. If it doesn't make sense, once again, comment down below. I will explain in words. Another tip that I have is this will help you never ever get lost in any city. This app saved my life when it came to navigating a new city. So obviously when you're abroad, you're in a new city, how are you supposed to get around? How are you supposed to know how to use public transportation? Well, I'm gonna tell you, get this app called Citymapper. Citymapper is literally a lifesaver, and what it does is you type in where you are, where you're going. It's kind of like Apple Maps on crack. Like it will take every combination of like train routes, it'll take every combination of bus routes, it'll take every combination of walking routes, put it all together and get you there in the quickest, most efficient way. So it's just like amazing. So my very last tip of the day is just be independent. This is not just like a study abroad tip, this is honestly kind of like a life tip. If you want to go see the Eiffel Tower and you have no friends to go with you because they're in class, go see it by yourself. You have all these tips that I gave you, you could get there all by yourself. Like do not base your decisions on other people's schedules because you will regret it if you never get to see the Eiffel Tower while you're in Paris. And it's not necessarily like being selfish, it's just doing what you want to do to make yourself happy. And it's just like, why should anyone take that away from themselves? I'm a huge Disney fan, so my biggest regret was not going to Disneyland Paris. And there was one day I almost packed it up and just was like, I'm going to Disneyland Paris today after school. I was about to hop on the train and go to Disneyland Paris because I could, but I decided not to just because I wanted to go with friends and they weren't available that day. I was being a dummy-dumb and I literally just sat in my room instead of going to Disneyland Paris. And guess what? I got sent home early due to the coronavirus and I couldn't go to Disneyland Paris. And that's like one of the biggest things that I regret from studying abroad, is because I didn't let myself be independent and I didn't let myself do what I was hoping to do the whole time. But yeah, so those are my top 10 like general study abroad tips. I hope they help you guys out. If you guys want any more study abroad videos on any other topics, just let me know in the comments. I have been thinking about making a Paris specific tip list. I was also thinking of making like a homestay experience video because I definitely had a very interesting homestay experience. So if you want to know anything about that, let me know as well. If you have any other questions or want me to elaborate on something that I mentioned, leave that down below. Any other comments, any concerns, leave those down below as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!